Hello, my name is Lucas, this is A Bit of Lit, and I'm here to talk about Chinese myths and legends, written by Chen Lianshan, and translated by Zhang Fengru and Chen Shanshan. I don't know for sure about the tones of their names, but there they are. This is part of the Cultural China series, and it is published by China Intercontinental Press. And look at that image at the beginning, these gods on their phoenix. Really beautiful art all throughout. Very cool content inside. Can't really recommend this edition strictly because there are some typos and some grammar issues. Very minor grammar issues, perfectly readable. But it can be a little jarring to see when the rest of it is so good and so entertaining and valuable in its content. But I wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend, if you are at all interested, definitely find something like this. And try to find one, by someone who's Chinese. Anyway, I would like to tell you that, this is just amazing. I think what's really great about it is it has some artwork all throughout and some photography of different places that are relevant to the stories of these gods who are just like humans. Some of them are emperors who ascended to goddom, deitism. I don't know what I'm saying. And I think the author does a really good point of showing the sort of cultural context of the belief system of how these stories of these gods were passed down and came to be, and where the beliefs came from in terms of just about everything. Just certain power structures and that kind of stuff. Very cool. Also, it is excellent in its sort of cross-cultural references and very thoughtful in that manner, because it makes some comparisons articulately about how these kinds of stories that have passed down over the millennia, how there's some universal themes from these stories to, although the stories can be wildly different, how they can still show some themes that are similar to biblical myths or Greek myths or Norse myths or any other kind of myths. Those are the main three that it focuses on, but it's really, really well done in that sense. So that's very cool. Anyway, I would like to tell you about the origin of man. First of all, page 1, I'll read a little bit of this and then tell you about Pangu, who is my favorite god of all time. The universe is vast and boundless in space and lasts forever in time. When primitive man pursued its origin, he tried hard to bring everything down to the primitive existence. Some people believe this is water, some believe it's air. The Chinese see primitive existence as chaos. I love that. That's just fantastic. The ancient Chinese believed there was no division between heaven and earth before the birth of the universe. No light, no darkness. There was simply chaos that filled all space. Zhuangzi, the Warring States period, philosopher, he was a philosopher of this period from 369 BC to 286 BC, said chaos was the central god. It had no eyes, no nose, no ears, and no mouth. His friends Shu, god of the southern sea, and Hu, god of the northern sea, wanted to help him open his 7 apertures, his eyes, his ears, his nostrils, and mouth. Kind of feel like he has 8, but we won't go there. And they did it. Okay, they opened one for him every day, and when they were done on the 7th day, chaos died. The death of chaos led to the birth of the universe. Sound familiar? It's not quite the same, of course, but I'm sure you will see a certain parallel there with biblical myth. Anyway, Pangu is this really cool god. He is the creator, and he is just fascinating. I'd like to read a little part about him, because every part of him, like when he dies, becomes different parts of the earth, and he also is the one that pushed heaven from earth, and these kind of things. Anyway, as he died, his left eye became the sun, and the right eye the moon. His hair and beard became the sky and the blinking stars. His breath became the wind and clouds, and his voice thunder. His limbs became the four borderlines of the earth. In ancient China, people believe the sky is round and the earth square, which is an interesting thought. I like it. His huge trunk, the mountains, his blood, trunk being his body, his blood, the rivers, his veins, the veins of earth, and his muscle, the soil in the field. His skin and fine hair became flowers and plants. Teeth and bones turned to metals and rock. Semen and bone marrow, the pearls and precious stones. And his sweat, rain to water and moisturize all things in the universe. And just the thing that sets him above every other god for me, finally, the parasites on his body became primitive man. I love that. I just love it. I laugh every single time I think about that. Like whenever I'm in a bad mood, I just think about Pangu dying and the parasites in his body and on his body suddenly coming to life. And man was born. Anyway, my other favorite god is Nua. Okay, I'm having a hard time saying her name. Anyway, she's the creator of man and the god of marriage and this kind of stuff, so that man can procreate and this kind of thing. Anyway, she has a very interesting way to create humanity. She had a rope. She put it in some mud. She spun that rope around, and all the mud that fell off became man, primitive man. And you know what? These two are very near and dear to my heart, as are many of these other gods that it talks about. I'm making a huge amount of noise and mess. Yandi, the god of, South Heaven. Emperor Huangdi, the central god, god of Central Heaven. Shao Hao, the god of West Heaven. And Zhuanshu, god of North Heaven. And Fuxi, god of East Heaven. And we got all different other kinds of myths from the era of Yao. And what are the other ones? I've kind of forgotten. The era of Shun. And the Emperor Diku. And what's the last one? Era of Dayu and Cowboy and Vega, which are some strange names that are in here. But anyway, Pangu. We are the parasites of Pangu. Thank you, Pangu. And also, Niuwa, thank you for tossing around some mud. Okay, appreciate it. Bye.